3, 2, 1.
This is the Alpha Communications pregame show on the Red Devil Radio Network.
It would help if I unmuted myself. Welcome, everybody, to the Alpha Communications pregame show here on the Red Devil Radio Network. I am the voice of the Red Devils alongside your host for the Alpha Communications pregame show tonight, the one, the only, my brother from another mother, Glenn Pemberton.
Yes, that's right, folks. I am the host tonight of the Alpha Communications pregame show. We've got a great night ahead here on the Red Devil Radio Network for you. It's a great night for football. It's a beautiful sunset going on here in the Red Devil Stadium. Loganville has a big game tonight against the Buford Wolves, the powerhouse of the entire state. It's going to be a pretty intriguing matchup. In a sense of can Loganville survive? And we'll get to that a little bit later on tonight. But first off, we want to apologize for last week's unfortunate week off. We had a unfortunate circumstance again. It just seems like that's kind of been a thorn in our side here this year. We had a couple of those this year where we were unable to broadcast the Cedar Shoals game in Athens last week. Cedar Shoals did not have any room for us in their booth. So, unfortunately for us, we kind of had to get kicked to the curb, involuntary, but we are back live. So check us out. Tell your friends about us. If you're listening to us right now here on the Red Devil Radio Network, we are going to be broadcasting this game and as well as next week's game against Johnson High School. That will be the final game of the year for us. We finish out at home here at Red Devil Stadium. In Loganville, Josh, I mean, it's been a tough year for us this year.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have those years. I mean, you're going to have your up years, your down years, and this year just happens to be one of the down ones for Loganville. But the future looks promising as that freshman. I've got Loganville's roster right here. The freshman. Colton
Guccier.
Guccier?
Yeah, I believe that's how you say it.
Either way, we're going to get that pronunciation right here in a little bit. But the freshman Colton has been actually lights out. And then Tanner Green actually started the last game we broadcasted. The freshman Tanner Green, he started on the week of fall break. And I didn't know if that was out of necessity or if that was just out of scheme. But he did very well against Flowery Branch, in my opinion. And, so the future looks bright for Loganville. So let's just take this year as a learning experience. We'll take it on into next year and see what we can do next year. I mean, we're sitting at 1-7 overall, 1-2 in the 1-2 in the region right now.
I believe it is 1-4. I believe, if I'm not
1-4?
mistaken. Yes.
Okay.
If I read the updated website correctly, we are 1-4 right now.
Okay.
But.
Man, we've played 5 region games already?
I believe so. Let's see. We played
Walnut
Grove, Flowery Branch. Now I'm not doing this by order. I'm just by team. We've got
Clark Central,
and the Cedar Shoals. So that's what, 4 right there?
Yeah. So that's 1-3.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 1-3. My fault. This will be our 5th game of the year. So
yeah.
We've got, but we're still hanging in as far as the playoff race is concerned. I've got the region standings over here.
What you got?
And coming into tonight, we are, as we said earlier, we're 1-3. I apologize for saying 1-4. Didn't want to jinx us there. We're 1-3. We're one spot below Cedar Shoals, who, of course, jumped over us from the win last week. Here's the full rundown of the region standings. We've got Buford at 4-0. We've got Flowery Branch at 5-0. We've got Clark Central at 3-2, and we've got Cedar Shoals at 1-3. And right now, if the season ended right now, those would be the 4 teams that would make it into the playoffs representing our region. Loganville is just below Cedar Shoals at number 5 in the region with a 1-3 record. They are right above Walnut Grove, who is behind us with the same record at 1-3. We have a win over them, so that's why we are ahead. And Johnson is 0-4, still winless is what I'm trying to say here. Unwin? Yes, there you go.
Is that what you were trying to say?
Yes,
there?
I'm getting tongue twisted. I'm prone to that. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
So Johnson is 0-4. They're dead last. We come into tonight with a
dead last. Let's be nice about it.
With
a
1-3, yeah.
Jeez.
You know, they're we're 1-3 right now. We're coming in tonight, kind of wounded. We've got a test tonight, Josh. You know, Buford is a team that's won 11 state championships. I believe I alluded to that in the blog.
Which will be found at midnight tonight on our website.
Yes, we had a little going through and looking at everything on the website. We had some trouble. The blog got posted, but there was no words.
Yeah.
It was just the word Buford Preview, and there was no no words. But I mean, I have the
I will say this: I did do it. It just didn't save properly. So I will do that when I get home tonight.
Absolutely. But, I mean, I've got the blog here. I can certainly read the bits and pieces of it, for you guys. Basically, in a nutshell, it talks about our tough loss last week. We lost 28-7 over Cedar Shoals. And we've got 2 more home games against Buford and Johnson, as we just alluded to. And I talked about our unfortunate reason for having to have a week off last week.
Yep.
And then I talk about, this is what I said. I said for this week, the Red Devils face their most daunting challenge all season long, as they will be hosting the powerhouse known as Buford and the Buford Wolves. The Wolves have won 11 state football championships in the school's history. So I was right when I mentioned that.
Buford University.
Yes.
And I'm just going to leave that there for speculation.
Including 10. Now listen at this stat. For you guys unfamiliar with Buford, listen to how good they are. Including 10 of the last 17 years alone, they've won it.
The state championship?
Yes.
Good Lord.
Had it not been for Rome defeating them last year for the state title, they would have been 12. But they would have been 12-time champions and defending champions. So it would have been, if you do the math, that would have been 11 out of the last 17. So,
wow.
I mean, that's impressive. I don't have a calculator. Well, I do, but I'm too lazy to get it on my phone. But, that's pretty impressive. 11 out of 17, I mean, that shows you how powerful they are.
Only 6 years that they didn't win it.
And again, as Josh just alluded to, I mentioned in the blog, a lot of fans affectionately give them the nickname / title of, quote-unquote, Buford University, as their success rivals that of powerhouse college football schools. And looking at Buford comes into the week undefeated in region play, as we mentioned in the blog. They've beaten everyone in the region by a combined 220-7. I mean, looking at that, I mean, that's unbelievable. It says it's an incredible feat that shows you the discrepancy between Buford and everyone else in the region, and plus the state, never mind the region, right? It says they're ranked number 11 in the state, and we don't have any statistics for Buford as far as the players. That was mentioned in the blog. We don't have any stuff for you. Normally we have the Max Prep stuff that shows all the top guys and their numbers. We don't have that for you tonight, but we've got some of the players to keep an eye on tonight that Josh and I will be getting a chance to call tonight. We've got quarterback Will Westmoreland. He was a senior. These guys are all mostly seniors. Running back and full safety Anthony Grant, and other senior players such as wide receiver Isaiah Isaac, Terry Gillis.
Isaiah Isaac?
Isaiah Isaac, yeah.
2
that's
names.
like in the Bible, yeah. Bible names there.
Well, my middle name's Isaac, so there's that.
Yeah. Tyler Gillis, wide receiver. KJ Johnson, another wide receiver. Demetri Bennett, he's a wide receiver and a safety. We've got J.C. Viega, who's a center. We've got the quarterback, as I just mentioned.
You could have just posted the roster.
Yeah, I could have. I've got. There's a lot of different guys on this roster that looked pretty impressive as far as their size and stuff like that. There's 3 quarterbacks, so not exactly sure who Buford is going to start tonight. There's 3 quarterbacks on this particular roster of players that I listed. We got Westmoreland, Trey Luttrell, and the other quarterback here is Caitlin Nelson. And these players are all relatively in the same classification, other than Will Westmoreland, who is a senior. The rest are juniors.
I don't want to steal your thunder, but you're going on a roll talking about Buford and their wonderfulness, right? If I'm not mistaken, we took 2 teams that was averaging roughly 40 points, one 44, the other 40, held one of them to 6 and the other one to 17.
Absolutely, and that was something that I had alluded to in later on as I got into the blog. We talked about my thoughts. I said, I'm looking for LHS to kind of just survive the grind of facing Buford, because Buford is a mighty team. They're a giant. But it's one of the positives of the game that you just alluded to, and we were mentioning this in the car and even on the phone when we was talking earlier. It talks about LHS. LHS has held down top region teams who have scored heavy numbers coming into the game, such as Winder Barrow. We held them to, I believe, 17 points with Winder Barrow. And we just, as you alluded to, Flowery Branch, we held them to 6. So there's hope when you look into that. But I think that's something that you can take to the bank with you and say, hey, look, it looks on paper, it looks ugly, but hey, like Nick Saban says, we don't play games on paper.
You got that right, and I'm glad we don't, because look, last 3 weeks ago now, I guess it was 2 weeks when we played Flowery Branch. 6-3 was the final score.
Absolutely.
When we played Winder, I think it was like 17-14, I believe, somewhere in that vicinity. So I just have a feeling that one of these days we're going to get a team that's averaging massive points, a la Buford, and we're going to sneak up on them. And I think what better night to do it than against Buford?
Absolutely.
A team that is sort of like the team west of us. Everybody thinks that nobody can beat them and who's going to upset them and all this other stuff. And, I think tonight Loganville's got a very good shot. Their defense is playing great. Their offense is gelling now. So, it's just one of those things where we could sneak up on Buford tonight. We got the home field advantage.
Absolutely. And as the old ball coach, that team west of us says, you can't look into that, because that stuff is, as he called it, quote, rat poison.
That's right.
So you can't get overconfident. Every game matters.
Exactly.
You can't take games off. So
I always allude to this. It was 2012, and the only reason I know that is because I live in this town. The Gainesville Red Elephants had a quarterback by the name of Deshaun Watson. You might know him.
First-round draft pick for Houston Texans.
You
won a
might
national
know
championship with Clemson.
But I'll tell you this. People around where I live almost worship Deshaun Watson. There's like a Deshaun Watson way near the high school. But either way, I digress. But we went to Gainesville, 2012, the year they won the championship, and beat Deshaun Watson. So, we can do it. It can be done. So, I think tonight they're going to play with some heart. They're going to play with some grit, and I don't think they're going to give up. I think they're going to play with everything they've got. And I think tonight, I know I'm getting ahead of myself on predictions, but I think Buford might be sleeping tonight, and I think Loganville catches them.
I like that. I mean, that is usually, if our good buddy and fellow color commentator Tyler Cloud was here tonight, I know how he is. He's always said, I like to pick with my head rather than my heart. So I'm sure he would kind of give us some of the tough truth, tonight. But
yeah.
I like you're a guy who's always, no matter what the situation is, you're always an optimistic guy. And I
Can you tell my wife that?
And
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
And I think
Just kidding.
And I think that's something that, LHS is going to need tonight. They're going to need that optimistic. I mean, don't kick the team while they're down. I mean, this team has a lot of potential, as you just alluded to, with the freshman quarterbacks. I mean, there's a lot of talent there. So, don't sleep on Loganville tonight. I think what we alluded to with Loganville keeping teams and holding teams under their high point differential this year, I think that is something that could definitely happen this year. They could sneak up on it. They could sneak up on Buford. But on that note, guys, it's about to be 7 o'clock here. We're going to take our first commercial break. You're listening to the Alpha Communications pregame show with Glenn Pemberton and Josh Truby on the Red Devil Radio Network.
Don't believe me, just watch. Don't believe me, just watch. Don't believe me, just watch. Hey, oh!
Does your business or school district need two-way radio system service and repair? How about GPS installation? If so, call Alpha Communications, located in Loganville, Georgia. Alpha is a family-run business who for 25 years has been serving the state of Georgia and the United States, installing systems in 48 states and Canada, as well as in over 140 counties in Georgia. Call them at 770-263-8843. 770-263-8843. Alpha Communications, the best communications provider in all of America.
Do you want to listen to Red Devil football anytime you want?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Download our app. Here's live play-by-play coverage of football with my dad, the voice of the Red Devils, Josh Truby, Tyler Cloud, and Glenn Pemberton. Also, go back and download a game to keep, or just re-listen to your favorite game. Red Devil Sports, anytime, anywhere.
Hello and welcome, Red Devil fans. This is Mike Robinson, principal of Loganville High School. You're listening to the Red Devil Radio Network.
All right, guys, well, welcome back to the Alpha Communications pregame show here on the Red Devil Radio Network. I am your host, Glenn Pemberton, alongside the voice of the Red Devil Radio Network, Josh Truby. And as you just heard, glory, glory, hallelujah, the Georgia Bulldogs.
No, glory, glory to old Georgia.
Glory, glory to old Georgia.
Thank
there you go. I stand corrected. Hallelujah to good old Georgia. There you go. We'll combine them all, in one little sound
How
there.
are you going to do that? No, I'm just kidding.
But Georgia has a big game this week. You may have heard it's the world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
Is that the name of it still? I thought they changed it to just the Georgia-Florida game.
The PC folks, the PC folks was concerned about that, but they don't call it that. But hey, there's still people that call it that. So
either way,
it's going to be a party. It's going to be a fun time down there in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. But on that note, Georgia has the big game against annual rival Florida, and Georgia, of course, if you haven't been paying attention, which if you haven't, shame on you, right? Georgia is having one of their best seasons in a long time. They're 7-0. They're number 3 in the nation.
Don't jinx it.
They're a top 4 team in the college football
But there's still
playoff.
a lot of stuff they need to fix and work on before the game against Florida. So we're not gonna, we're not going to say that they're the best, they're the greatest, but we are going to say that
they've surprised a lot of people.
There's room for improvement. We don't want to give them rat poison.
Yeah, absolutely. We believe in that and not doing that heavily here. We don't want to make them cocky, but we'll talk a little bit about that as we've reached the 7 o'clock hour. We're gonna cut off a little bit early tonight so we can kind of catch our breath here because it's just us here tonight. And by the way, our Bulldog guru and fellow color commentator, if you're wondering, Tyler Cloud is not here tonight with us.
He's a little under the weather.
Sick.
Yep.
A little bit under the weather, got a cold or whatnot. It's that time of year, unfortunately, and we want to certainly extend our thoughts and our love, our prayers, whatever good vibes are out there to our good buddy and fellow voice of the Red Devil Radio Network, Tyler Cloud. We love you, buddy. We hope you get well soon. We hope you have a good weekend, and we'll definitely be looking forward to hopefully having you back here next week with us as
we call a win against Johnson.
Absolutely. There you go. Hey, don't jinx it.
Don't jinx it. There we go.
but we're going to kind of go into this a little bit before we kind of go into our college picks and our high school region picks. I have an article here, and it talks about this. This is what they are talking about for things to watch. Can the Florida offense do anything? And it talks about Georgia's defense is one of the stingiest in the nation, giving up 12.6 points per game, good for 4th in the FBS. Florida's offense posts 23.7 points per game, 95th in the nation. Ouch. With QB Luke Del Rio now out due to injury, the offense fails completely on redshirt freshman Felipe Franks, who has underwhelmed of late, who has been underwhelming on late, missing open receivers and tossing a few interceptions. The Gators offense put up 371 yards versus A&M 2 weeks ago, but that unit pales in comparison to this defense. These dirty dogs will throw at them. And then it talks about special teams being a interesting key to the game. It talks about Florida must be sound in the kicking game. They could use special teams to score a big way. This article doesn't really talk a whole lot about Georgia as far as that's concerned, but it sounds like they're just kind of feeling sorry for Florida right now and trying to will them on. But it'll be interesting to see how they do here. It talks about the next key will be Jake Fromm and how he does in the game. It says Georgia's youthful offense is directed by a true freshman quarterback. So Jake Fromm has been fantastic this year.
Jake Fromm has been wonderful this year.
He has. So it's going to be interesting to see, what happens in this game. Can Georgia's defense continue to dominate against a beat-up Florida team?
Yep.
Can Jake Fromm continue to play his outstanding game? And you had an interesting stat for me.
Yes. This is a stat that I had seen. I don't remember where. But a first-time Georgia quarterback, doesn't have to be a freshman, but a first-time starting quarterback, their first time playing Florida, has lost. I do believe the last person to win, Tyler could help me, I think was David Green, but I'm not 100% on that. Don't quote me. But I know between Jacob Eason, even Matthew Stafford lost, Aaron Murray lost in his first start against Florida.
That was 2010, correct?
Yes. So, that's been an interesting stat. I do have an interesting story, too.
Okay.
I was speaking with the band director, Mrs. Cowart, and she played for the Redcoats. And so she got to play in Jacksonville. And she said that atmosphere in that stadium is unparalleled to any other Georgia game she's been in. Maybe it rivals the Tech game, but that atmosphere, a neutral site, is absolutely fantastic. Really want to do that one year. So.
That would be a great.
Tebow, if you're listening, I want tickets.
yeah, that would be a dream come true for all of us.
Absolutely.
But we're gonna transition now
to the Pick'ems.
The college football Pick'ems. And I've been on a pretty big roll as of late.
That's our Pick'em song, I guess, because Anyways, continue.
All right, and on that note. Here is the SEC schedule games for this week. It's a very light schedule this week compared to most weeks, but here we go. Arkansas against Ole Miss. Arkansas comes into this week with a record of 2-5, 0-4 in SEC play. Ole Miss is 3-4, 1-3 in the SEC. Who do you got, Josh?
Without explanation, I'm going to Ole Miss.
I'm going to take Ole Miss in that one. Arkansas just has been kind of dismal this year. Brett Bielema's kind of one of those coaches on the hot seat. I'm not impressed with what I see, but I think Shea Patterson's going to have a good day. Austin Allen for Arkansas just kind of been he's just had a rough year. He's only thrown for 850 yards this year. So I think Ole Miss is going to pull that one out pretty handily. I like Ole Miss in that one. Next game, we have Vanderbilt versus South Carolina at South Carolina. That game's at 4 o'clock on SEC Network. Vanderbilt comes into this week with a record of 3-4 overall and 0-4 in the SEC conference play. South Carolina comes into this week with a record of 5-2 with a conference record of 3-2. Josh, who do you like in that matchup?
Small reason. South Carolina's got home field advantage.
I like that. I mean, I think I'm going to go with South Carolina as well. Jake Bentley has thrown for 15,000 or 800 or 1,500.
18,000? Good Lord.
1,585 yards.
That's got to be a record for a season.
I apologize on that. I was getting tongue twisted here. So I think South Carolina's kind of got their stuff back together after kind of an early struggle there. I like the Gamecocks in that one, and like you said, Williams-Brice is going to be loud and deafening, so I'm taking the Gamecocks in that one. Next game, as we reach 7:07 here, we've got the Missouri Tigers going up against the UConn Huskies. This is a non-conference game. Missouri comes into this game with a record of 2-5 and 0-4 in the SEC. UConn comes into this game 3-4 overall, 2-3 in the American Athletic Conference. Josh, who do you like in that one?
Missouri. Reason being is because I think that they've played kind of a stiffer competition than UConn has, so I'm going to have to go the Missouri Tigers in this one.
You know, this was a toss-up for me. We were talking about this earlier on the phone because, you know, UConn does have the better record, but they do play in a statistically weaker conference compared to the SEC. SEC's king. I had a question mark on this game, but I think I'm actually going to agree with you. I started to pick UConn, but I'm going to change my pick. I'm going to take Missouri on that one. I think this is going to be a big step for them. Their quarterback, Locke, has been pretty impressive this year. He's got 2,190 yards, so I'm going to take Missouri in that one. Next game, we've got Mississippi State taking on Texas A&M. This is going to be probably one of the big games, the SEC game of the week on paper. We've got Mississippi State coming in this week with a record of 5-2 and 2-2 in the SEC. A&M comes into this week with the same record, 5-2, but they're 3-1 in SEC play. Josh, who do you like in that one?
Texas A&M. I think Mississippi State's been playing great football, don't get me wrong, but I do think Texas A&M has just enough to oust Mississippi State. And I'm actually going to say it's going to be on a field goal in the third quarter.
I could see that happening. I think it's going to be a close game with Nick Fitzgerald and going up against Mon or A&M. I'm going to take A&M in that one by a field goal too. I think it's going to be a neck-and-neck game down to the wire. I'll pick A&M in that one. Okay, last game before we get to the big one. We've got Tennessee and that struggling Volunteers team taking on the Kentucky Wildcats. Tennessee comes into this week with a record of 3 wins and 4 losses and a winless record in the SEC, 0-4, while Kentucky comes into this week with a record of 5-2 and 2-2 in the SEC play. Josh?
I'm going to go the Volunteers. They need a win. I think they're playing as if they need a win, and I think they come out, and they're not going to dominate Kentucky by no means, but I do think that Tennessee has just enough to oust Kentucky in Kentucky.
You know, I really love the play that I've been seeing out of Kentucky this year. Kentucky is different this year. I think they're a team that could give Georgia a bit of a scare in a week or two, in a couple of weeks when they play them. I'm going to take Kentucky in that one. I just don't see anything convincing right now with Tennessee and their struggles with Butch Jones. It's just they're a mess right now. I'm taking Kentucky in that one. I think they're going to win that one by around, I'd say 17, maybe even 20. I'll take that one. I'll take it that way. All right, and without further ado.
All right, here we go. Do any hit it?
Yes. It is time for what you've all been waiting for. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party, number 3, Georgia, goes into Jacksonville to play.
Can you say that one more time? Number what?
Number 3.
All right, that's what I want to hear right there.
The Georgia Bulldogs come in listen at me, this weekend with a record of 7-4 and a 4-0 SEC record against the Florida Gators, who come into this weekend with a record of 3-3 and 3-2 in the SEC play. Josh?
I got to go to University of Georgia. I also asked the band director. We talk a lot because of band. She also picked Georgia.
All righty, absolutely. I'm not surprised there. I'm going to go with Georgia. They don't need to get cocky now coming into this game, and I know that's something that's kind of, they've kind of hyped themselves up in the past, and they've gotten beat by Florida in recent years, but I don't see that happening.
There's still stuff they need to improve on. They're not the greatest football team in the nation yet. There's still things that they can improve on defensively, offensively, and special teams. All have something they can improve on.
And I don't think I've seen a difference in this, Coach Smart's philosophy this year.
Culture.
I don't see. I don't see that. I see a laser focus type deal, week after week. And that's kind of what he says in the press conference. Take it we take it 1 week at a time. And that's the way to be. And I'm going with the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia Bulldogs, I think they're going to roll pretty well in that one. I like the Dogs in that one. So 7-11, we got about 4 minutes left before we catch our breath here and take another commercial break. We're going to go ahead and go into our region pick'ems.
There we go.
And
that way we can enjoy pregame, get us something to drink, have a little of a break before we go to kickoff.
Absolutely. There's only 3 games this week as far as our region games, including our game. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We've got Clark Central going into the Grove to face the Walnut Grove Warriors. Walnut Grove is 2-6 right now overall, and Clark Central, I believe, is 6-3 right now. Who do you got in that one?
Clark Central. I mean, they're just playing lights-out football. And as much as we like Walnut Grove after we play them, I think that they're just kind of a bottom feeder team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you on that one. It's kind of like Tyler says. You kind of have to speak the truth there. I'm going to take Clark Central in that one. And on that note, we're going to step away really quick as the national anthem is going to be played. You can listen to it right here on the Red Devil Radio Network. We'll be right back.
Until the colors have been retired.
All right, we're back. Good. Now we're back. That'll work. Can everybody hear? Can you hear yourself?
I just heard.
There we go. All right.
All right, guys.
Now we're back.
Now
in
we're
business.
back here on the Alpha Communications pregame show. We always, here on the Alpha Communications show, take time to salute our country and pay homage to our great country and support everything about our great country with the national anthem being played. We hope you enjoyed that here on the Red Devil Radio Network. That was the color guard, I believe, for Loganville on that.
Mm-hmm.
So now we are going to get back to our region games as we were in the middle of picking the winners that we think we're going to win in the region game. Let's see. Where did we leave off here, Josh?
Clark Central, Walnut Grove.
Clark Central and Walnut Grove, and you chose Clark Central.
Yes.
And
so did you.
I went with Clark Central. All right, so we've got Clark Central on that one. That's who we think is going to win that one. Next game that we have on our list tonight is Flowery Branch, our sister channel here on the Red Devil Radio Network. We promote them. Flowery Branch goes, let's see. Hang on just a minute here. I lost my place. Hang on. Sorry, guys. I lost my place. Flowery Branch goes up against... no, I'm sorry. They're not even playing. My fault. Sorry, guys. I'm looking at the previous week's games. All right. Scratch that whole thing from my list. I'm having to follow it from my tablet. All right. So, Clark Central, we have them over Walnut Grove. The next game we have is Cedar Shoals against Johnson.
This goes without saying. Cedar Shoals. If Johnson is to win a game this year, I'll be surprised.
I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to take Cedar Shoals in that one. They looked impressive last week against Loganville. They won a big one, 28-7 over us. Johnson just hadn't done anything, to put it nicely, on offense. They just looked rough. So I'm going to go with Cedar Shoals on that one too. And finally, our last game of the night will be Loganville here against Buford.
I said it in the pregame show earlier. I think this is the one Buford's not ready for. I say not ready for. I think this is the one that sneaks up on them, and Loganville pulls it out late with a field goal by Tristan Rudisell. I know that's asking a lot, but oh well.
Yeah, I mean, normally I'm the kind of guy that kind of goes with, my heart and picks Loganville, but just being like Tyler and being realistic, these guys are big, huge guys, and I would love to see Buford get a L tonight and help us. Realistically, I just don't see it happening. I hate to be that way, but we've had a rough year moving the ball and stuff like that. It's been a rough year for us. Our defense has had to kind of carry us through the year. I just don't see that improving tonight. I'm going to take Buford in this one.
Okay, all right.
But
no faith. I see how you are.
But hey, you know what?
You and Tyler, I swear.
But you know what? It took everything for me not to do that.
I'm just messing with you, brother.
I want to be proven wrong tonight. So I'm hoping Buford pulls out a big loss and we get the big win. So I'm going to take Buford in that one. And on that note, it's about game time here as we approach the 7:30 kickoff time. We're going to take a break, and we hope you enjoyed the Alpha Communications pregame show. We're going to be switching here in just a little bit to our game feed. So if you're listening to us live,
we'll start at about 7:25.
If you're listening to us, tune in, as Josh just said, at 7:25. Listen to us at reddevilradio.com. Keep it updated right here. You're listening to the Alpha Communications pregame show with Glenn Pemberton and Josh Truby right here on the Red Devil Radio Network.